Hi everyone, it's Cammy here from Heart and Hand. Just reporting to you after Rangers' season opener here in Motherwell. Fell to a 1-1 draw at Fir Park, which, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, was maybe a little bit lucky from a Rangers perspective. Motherwell, I think, had the better chances. Rangers dominated possession. And that's fine if you want to be able to retain the ball, but Rangers have two problems as far as I'm concerned. The first one is that we are very, very keen on ensuring that we can play it out from the back. I think that that's fine if you've got a defence that's settled. Ours clearly isn't. Max Aaron's again playing at left back today because quite clearly Russell Martin just feels he has no other option in there. And it invites unnecessary pressure on your defence as far as I'm concerned, because Motherwell today had spotted that that was something that Rangers preferred to do and looked to capitalise on it as best they possibly could. Motherwell were far better today in terms of trying to get up the park, being able to try and penetrate, and that leads into Rangers' second issue. Possession-based football is fine, but you can't do anything with it if you're not willing to be able to play the ball forward. And there were periods of the game today where I think it's absolutely fair to say that Rangers did not capitalise on space. They didn't have an overwhelming desire to get forward with the ball. There's a lot of square passing, there's a lot of risk aversion from the defence and the midfielders, and to a certain extent, you know, on both flanks. And it's stifling. Now, Rangers took the lead with an excellent corner, a header from James Tavernier. And to be honest with you, again, we were controlling the game, and I think that that's perfectly fair. There was a little bit of a heart and mouth moment when Jack Butland spilt the ball, but I can't fault Butland today. He made two excellent saves. And if you were really going to surmise where this game ended up, it was that both teams probably deserved what they got. Motherwell may walk away from it slightly perturbed that they weren't able to finish from another two great Jack Butland saves as well. So I don't necessarily have any concerns over the goalkeeper, and I don't think that, you know, he's going to have too much of a dent in his confidence after two excellent performances thus far in the Europa League. However, we are too static with the ball, been able to get it away from his goal, been able to not, as I say, invite pressure onto ourselves. And Motherwell got an equaliser, which for me had been coming for at least 30 minutes before they scored it. And it threw Rangers into this desire, or what we hoped was going to be desire, that with, you know, only a few minutes left in play, that, right, could we see an upturn, could we see an increase in energy, an increase in tempo? And it never came. And I feel that, you know, again, myself and speaking to the guys around me, that didn't surprise or shock anyone because we hadn't seen it during the game. And Rangers need to learn how to be able to control games where they can increase and decrease the tempo at will. And yeah, it's the old adage of, you know, you need a second goal to put teams to bed. The problem for us today was that that second goal didn't really look like it was going to come. We took the lead, and to a certain extent we compounded our own issues by, we fell into ourselves, we didn't want to be able to hit too much on the break. There was players who they were taking an easier, safer option. Now, I think that's been drilled into them, so I'm not necessarily blaming the players for that. But there's also has to be elements where you want to take the risk, you want to make a braver decision, and we are going to need that. I very much think that Russell Martin will look at today's game and understand if he's going to employ this system. And I don't think it will be as defensive minded at Ibrox. I don't think it will be as tame, is probably the best word I could use, for what we have seen today at Fir Park when we're at home. That's fine, but we can't have a repeat of last season where away games are just a huge problem and we can't solve it until too late in the day. Now listen, there's a lot of football left to be played, of course there is, and things will improve and things will change. This is a Rangers team that on the face of it will you know, change personnel. There'll be players playing today who I don't anticipate we will see too much from in coming weeks. We will continue to bring in players and our options will change. What the manager needs to realise, and he needs to do it quickly, because these games are not going to slow down. Within the next 4 weeks, we still have Europe, we still have domestic games, an Old Firm game being one of them, obviously, and a cup game. And what he needs to realise is, if it's not going to change as quickly as he likes, then he has to change the system. Today, by the final whistle, he had changed the entire midfield. And I don't think when you're defending a lead at Fir Park, a slender lead at that point, and you haven't been playing well, that is the smartest thing to do. So he has to learn, and that's probably something that's important. We're not jumping on this bandwagon now of, he was the wrong appointment, and I think that this will add fuel to people who didn't want Russell Martin to come in. I understand why people are critical of it. So there's a lot of development work that has to come in. The issue that Rangers have at the moment, as I say, apart from the fixture schedule, is fans won't buy it. Fans won't enjoy this idea of, well, it's fine if we keep it tight within the back five or the back six, but then nothing happens going forward, because Rangers will demand better football. Rangers fans will demand better football, and they'll demand more exciting football. Now, yeah, that's a given, and of course, if we had come out of Fir Park today having won 1-0, then we walk away from it saying, well, then the next thing we have to do is improve the performance. But results matter, and this is a results business. And if we're not going to get them, then I don't think the manager is going to last. In terms of player performances today, there was very little in terms of standouts, other than, as I say, Jack Butland, who for me was probably my man in the match. What's interesting though is hearing probably some of the reaction that Kieran Dowell got. I think it's no surprise to anyone watching this. Kieran Dowell struggles to be able to get Rangers fans on side, and his performance actually wasn't that bad. There's a confidence issue. I think there's a confidence issue with players being able to try and play it out to him out on the right hand side. There was enough times today where he was available, he was able to take the ball in. For a big guy, I think there has to be more physicality to his game. But some of his passing and some of his play actually worked pretty well. Where we struggled, I think, with being able to try and play through the middle was not only for us going forward, but also defending. Motherwell were very unlucky with a few chances that came through the middle of our midfield and defence that they weren't able to convert. And again, Rangers used a set piece to take the lead. That's wonderful, but the issue here has been able to try and create chances, been able to get forward with the ball, been able to take the ball in close quarters, and retain it is fine, but when you have space, you need to be able to use it, and we're not using it anywhere near smartly enough, and with a little bit of kind of ingenuity. The final thing I would probably take away from today, and what's really important with this, is yes, of course it is the opening game of the season. We're all disappointed not to get the 3 points. Russell Martin has now the opportunity to improve. He has been backed. He has been given players. By and large, he's getting his most desired targets. We can't control things that we can't control in terms of the transfer market for outgoings. However, we expect to see a lot of changes and where things can happen. What he needs to learn, and learn it really quickly, that today he felt a lot like someone who hadn't been at Rangers before, didn't understand Scottish football to the extent that it's not about being able to invite pressure on yourself by maintaining the ball in your final third. And there's glimpses there of where Rangers going forward actually works. There is some embryonic signs of Rangers being able to penetrate with the ball. The issue is we're not doing it enough. The issue is that we're not doing it using the ball in any way to our advantage to be able to make that a consistent thing and make opposition teams think about how to be able to defend against that. Because when you've got a team that's quite happy to sit with its own third, you'll just start to press them and you look to be able to try and take that on. Russell Martin needs to be able to solve that, and Rangers will need to be able to ensure that once teams realise that we are capable of playing the ball out on a more consistent and varied basis, that we can create goals. As I say, my positivity around that is that it has been shown, and we do have glimpses of it, but there's too many players within that who it is about not taking the difficult decision, the brave decision, and we're going to have some people in there who want to be able to control that a lot better. Joel Rothwell, I thought, You know, he's so crisp with the ball and he's passing. He's got a great visual range of where players are, so that when he does receive the ball quickly or it's played to him at pace, he can play a first time square pass to be able to go forward. He's not going to pivot like a 6 within games like this until we give him the license to do so, because he can do it, but we need to be able to allow him the opportunity to do that. Sam, I think, is an exciting player, as we've seen already within his performances within Europe. A solid performance, I think, from him today. A couple where he links up well with Raskan. There's a relationship developing there, but where he needs to be able to think about varying his penetration in terms of cutting inside or being able to take the ball to the byline, it will make defenders worry about what he's capable of doing. So yeah, right now Rangers have got work to do. As I say, I think it's pretty much what both teams deserve to get out of today. Rangers simply weren't good enough. It's early days, so I'm not panicking yet, and I hope none of you are either. But we've got work to do. And these games, as I said already, they're not going to slow down for us. So what the players and the manager and his team take away from today will be very interesting. But we will have a look to see what that, will teach them when we get into Tuesday's game at Ibrox against Victoria Pleasant. If you'd like to hear more from us, please join us on patreon.com/Heart and Hand. David will be with you in the flagship show on Monday, where he'll go into this game in a little bit more detail and back up. And if you'd like to see us live, and I know I've only got a face for radio, please feel free to join us at our live show at New Edmiston House as well on Friday the 15th of August. We really would love to see you there as well. These nights are always fantastic. But until then, thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.